Hi, this is Shana Meyerson with YOGAthletica in Los Angeles, California, here today to take you to Splitsville. We can go ahead and do the splits, keeping in mind that this is something you would do at the end of your practice or towards the end of the practice after you're already nice and warm. So, me being the one who's nice and warm in this scenario, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we're going to start off with a low lunge. So in order to get into our splits, we have to work our hamstrings, we gotta work our quads, and we gotta work our hips. All three of these things have to be open if I'm gonna get an amazing split. So here we go. We're gonna use our right leg forward and our left knee back. Now when I do my low lunge, first thing I wanna look for is knee over ankle or behind the ankle, but never past the ankle. Okay, because when your knee is past the ankle, you're working into your joints instead of your muscles. We do not want that. So, with the knee over the ankle or slightly behind the ankle, you're going to slide your knee back, your back knee back, as far as it will go. So you're trying to get your hips really low to the floor. Now, there's going to be a tendency on this one to sort of collapse the hips in all sorts of weird ways, okay? So we're going to try to square off the hips straight forward. Imagine that you could take your hips and squish them to midline. The back hip is going to turn a little forward. The front hip will pull a little bit backwards. I'm going to start off with 5 breaths in this low lunge. If this hurts your knee, you could always pad your knee or just do what I do and get your Manduka mat, black mat, and then you don't need to pad your knee. So, sinking down low, notice how low my hips are to the floor. Okay, this is mostly a big stretch for the front quad and inner hip on that back leg. Notice I'm sort of back bending in the spine rather than rounding into the pose. My suggestion, 5 breaths here. Now, if this is easy, you're going to go on to the next variation of this pose. If not, you're just going to hold this for a while. This is a really good stretch and it's working sort of the back leg portion of the split. So, if this is easy, you're going to take your hands to your front knee and start to lift your chest and a bit of a back bend. Now, how do you know if you're ready for this or not? If lifting up means that you have to lift your hips and you wind up in football hero pose, somebody give me a football, then this isn't the pose, okay? If your kid ever took a football photo in this pose, it's not the pose. Come back into it. Look how low my hips are. So I'm only going to take my hands up if I can do it without compromising the height of the hips. I can straighten my arms and lift my sternum. 5 breaths here, but I'm not going to bore you with 5 breaths. So if this is easy, next step, hands go up to the sky and start to reach backwards. Okay? How many breaths? 5. Notice my sternum is lifting, not dumping forward. I'm leaning backwards into this one, as if I could grab something at the back of the room. If that's easy, final step, 5 breaths. You see if you can touch the floor behind you, not in front of you. Okay, because now we're back where we started. Don't fool yourself on that one. But behind you, shoulders open, reach back, my hips are still low. Now, when I come out of this, I want to make sure I come out from my core. Okay, so I don't like whiplash out of it. Okay, so I got this one. Now, my back leg is getting very warm for my split. Let's get into the front leg. I'm going to shift my hips backwards. So my hips are now over my left knee, okay? My right toes are going to flex. Very important. Now again, the hips have a tendency to get wonky. The hip's going to want to pull out. So instead, I'm going to pull that hip back and I'm going to fold over this front right foot. But keep in mind when you fold forward, this isn't a head to knee pose. You see how round my spine is? This is a head to foot pose. I'm going to try to extend as far forward as I can, and if I can even put my forearms down on the floor. How many breaths? 5. Third pose. I'm going to sink back down, and just to take this, so now we got the back quad this a little bit into this hip. I'm going to come on down, back into my low lunge. The further back your back knee is, the easier this one's going to be, okay? You don't want to be straight on your kneecap, on your patella, because it's going to feel sort of grungy and yucky. So I'm going to take my hand to the inside. Left hand's going to come back, and I can either pull the foot in if I want a little more quad, or pull it out if I want a little bit more back bend. Watch this right knee that likes to splay. Knocked me over when I tried to splay it. You're going to keep it hugging in. Now for those of you who are feeling really wild and crazy, you can take your forearm on the floor, on the arm leg. That's not really the wild and crazy part. Take the back leg, reach across with your right arm, and left hand comes back. 5 breaths. When you're ready to come out of that, hand comes down. Release the back leg. We're going to come into single pigeon to open this right hip up. My right foot comes over to the left. Knee drops down. You can find full instructions on single pigeon in my hip opening video, but you're going to fold forward into this one. Now, when I come into my single pigeon, I want my hips even to the floor. There's a tendency to collapse over to the right hip, particularly if you're tight, and sort of like to the side of the back knee. You want to make sure this back knee is straight down and your hips are straight down. Now, the further forward this foot is, the deeper it's going to be. You can even move it midline if you want to take it more to the inner hip. Again, watch my hip opening video. That'll explain all that stuff. This one feels really good. Stay here as long as you want. I'll be back in about 20 minutes. Just joking. But you can stay there. Okay, now from there, we're going to lift up the chest. Okay? Some of you will stay here. Most of you will stay here. If you want to take deeper levels, you're going to have to check out my other video because this isn't really about this one. But if you want to, you can reach back and taking either half or full. Well, how do you take half of a full Ekapada Kapotasana? My one-legged pigeon. I take my foot, pull it in, hands go back. 5 breaths if you got it in you. It's a little hard to talk when my neck is stretched out. If you don't have that one, you could do it here. You could do it here, you could do it here. A lot of people like this one, they call it a mermaid, not the technical term, because I don't think it's a technical pose. And then once all that's warmed up, you're ready. So, make sure you got some blocks handy, in case you don't have a full split. Okay, so I'm going to tuck my back toes under. Lift up my right leg just to give it a little, maybe open up my hip, lengthen it out, and pull back into my original space, my lunge. Okay, now, this time instead of shifting my hips backwards, I'm going to shift my foot forwards. For those of you who are tighter, you're going to grab your blocks. You might want 2 or 3 or 4, whatever suits your fancy. You can put the blocks, however many you need, underneath your hip. And you just straighten out this front leg, resting your hip right on the blocks. Now as this gets easier, you get rid of the blocks, right? Maybe you start with 10,000 blocks, cut it down to like 1,000, 100, maybe 1, eventually, hopefully you're on the floor. Notice I'm right on top of this back knee. Again, there's a strong tendency to collapse to the right and get this leg all wonky. Back leg, straight back. All 5 toes are on the floor, front toes are flexing. Okay, so let's pretend that you're a little more bendy than this. I'm going to go ahead and remove said blocks. I'm going to slide forward. Okay. Now here's the thing. Ooh, full splits. Just because I can make a crotch print on the floor does not mean that I've arrived. Again, the thing most people are doing is hips collapsing to the right, turning this back leg sideways. So, what do I do to square off? And I'm not going to pretend I'm a perfect square offer, but I can sure sort of get there. So, first, I got to make sure my hips are facing forward. So I'm going to drop this hip down right on top of that back knee. Now, it also helps if I tuck my back toes under and press the hip forward. Then I can release. I like to take my left hand to my right leg, my right hand to my left leg, just to twist it a little bit more to the right because my tendency is to fall left. Final pose, hands are up to the sky. How many breaths? It's really up to you, 5, 10, 15, depending on how hard you want to work. Now, we're going to come out and try not to take the whole mat with us. Hands come down. I tuck my back toes under and lift my hips a little bit. Pull my leg through. Leg goes up. Maybe open. And I am ready for my left side. Now I'm not going to put that part on film, but I'm sure going to make sure I do it, otherwise I'm going to be walking around in circles all day long. This is Shana Meyerson with YOGAthletica in Los Angeles, California, wishing you an awesome everything.